He rings right now.
Here.
Hello. Can you ring back in 5 minutes? Cheers. Bye. Okay, I believe we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. Without further ado, I have in the room with myself, it's the Mason and Jones show, and I have with me Chris Mason.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
So you've got it.
Yeah, I've got it.
Great stuff, Chris. Good to have you in the room. How you doing?
Yeah, great to be here, mate. Great to see you. Great to have a chat with you again.
Fantastic. We will have to start on a bit of a sad note. Eric Bristow, of course, the funeral. So I'll leave for you to.
Yeah, it was a toughie. It was a tough week for me personally. My father died almost to the minute a week before Eric. So that was sort of like in a way, my dad had been ill for quite some time, so it was one of those sadness but relief that he was no longer suffering, and he had was going to rest in peace. And then a guy that was inspirational to me and played a massive part in my own career, and he just shockingly just suddenly dropped dead in Liverpool. And yesterday was his funeral, and today ironically was his birthday. So it's it was a very, very tough time, but a beautiful funeral. Paul Booth did a wonderful job. He was a guy that was Eric's MC and referee during his exhibitions for the last 10 years. But it was a beautiful tribute, and there was some great names from Alan Glazier to John Lowe to Bob Anderson. Ollie Croft was there, Tommy Cox. I mean, the list was endless. James Wade, Michael Van Gerwen flew in specially. It was a beautiful ceremony, a fitting ceremony, and a great send-off for an absolute legend in our sport.
Wow. What was the most, if you had to pick up one memory from Eric Bristow, what would it be?
Oh, to pick one would be, I don't know. It was just his flamboyance. But in 1980, he played. In 78, he was favourite to win it. Got dumped first round by Conrad Daniels. 79, he was favourite to win it again and got beat by Alan Evans. And then 1980, he played Bobby George in the final. Another really larger than life flamboyant character. And Bobby George said he had Bobby was famous for writing poems, or them kind of just sort of one-liners. And Eric eventually beat him in the final. I went up and just asked him, what was that poem, and then give him a kiss on the cheek and laughed. But they remained great friends for 40 plus years.
Fantastic. The world of darts, how's it going?
Yeah, very good. We had a big shock last weekend. We had two Welshmen in the final of a Euro Tour event in Austria. Johnny Clayton, who was he's ranked 25 in the world. I'm not sure. He was way outside of that prior to winning. He beat Gerwin Price in the final. Some big shocks. Michael Van Gerwen going out early. So I think he's somebody who was the lowest ranked player ever to win a sort of a Euro Tour event. And they're just underneath a TV title for me. They're streamed online, but in TV quality. And it was a big win. It puts him in all the majors for the rest of the season. And it was a great final. It was great to see two outsiders make a final, and then a genuine outsider lift a title.
Fantastic. Just to cut you short there, we may have somebody calling in a few minutes' time. So if that is the case, then obviously we'll drop to that person if they ring in. Okay.
Yeah. Other darts news: Premier League rolls into Manchester on Thursday. Obviously, those of you know that I cover it. Well, it's on Sky Sports, but we're also covering it on TalkSport 2. Darts on the radio. I know it sounds bizarre, but like boxing, it works very, very well if it's described properly. It's a big night for a few players.
Okay.
Peter Wright takes on Michael Smith, and it's a must-win game for Peter Wright. Michael Smith's second in the table at the moment. Gurney has a chance of making the top four. Basically, what happens after all these, the league phase, the final is at the O2 on May the 17th, and it's the top four in the league that make it. At the moment, that league is Michael Van Gerwen right at the top as expected, but lost twice last week in Rotterdam. His his homeland. He lost to Peter Wright and Raymond Barneveld. But the table is Michael Van Gerwen at the top, Gary Anderson second, Rob Cross and Michael Smith, and Daryl Gurney probably is the one with Barneveld who looks like they may make that final four. But the lineup, I'll just finish up the lineup for those that are interested. It's Peter Wright, Michael Smith, Gurney, Van Gerwen, Whitlock, Anderson, Barneveld, Cross, and Michael Smith, Van Gerwen. Van Gerwen plays twice that week. It's going to be interesting. Not as interesting as the boxing, but it's a close second.
Now, we have on the line with us the Commonwealth champions, middleweight champions trainer, Chris Smedley from Sheffield. Chris, how are we doing?
All right, Ingram, how are you, pal?
I'm good. I'm in the room as well with Chris Mason from Darts and Boxing.
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of darts myself. It's not bad, is it?
He's from that part of the world, mate. They love it. They love the arrows up there.
Yeah, I've heard it. I think there were darts on the arena or the.
Yes. Yeah, Premier League.
Well, one of my mates said it was brilliant.
Yeah. You'll have to go, mate. You'll have to give it a visit one next year when it's back in town.
I think we're getting a bit jealous in boxing with atmosphere what's created at darts. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It does have a very much like the old vibrant type boxing style atmosphere that you used to get in the probably sort of the York Hall type venues where the fans are right on top of the fighters. It's it's very close.
And they pack them in as well. That's the thing. It's ram-packed. Every time I've watched darts, it is so busy.
Yeah, I think that's down to the pricing, though. I think Barry's got it about right. Like between 20 and 30 quid for a ticket. It's a great night out. It lasts sort of, around about 4 hours-ish. And it's basically a big party. It's where with boxing, for me, it gets a bit, although I never sit further than the ring apron, otherwise I don't go. Yeah, I think the fans feel quite segregated away from, ringside, which is a bit of a problem, which is why York Hall probably works so well, because you've got the balcony effect.
Yeah, I mean, we were at York Hall watching that Elliot Matthews a couple of months ago, actually. Atmosphere there is good, but I think it only holds I bet it only holds 1,500 people.
Yeah, it's tiny, if that many. It's absolutely tiny. It's but it's just got that ambience about it. There's a Civic Hall in Wolverhampton. We used to have the Premier League darts there, and now we have the Grand Slam there. And that's a similar type thing where you've got that tiered type seat. And I've watched some great fights actually at the Civic at Wolverhampton. I don't know why they don't have more. I mean, obviously at the moment it's closed, but even back in the day, they had that York Hall feel about it. And again, that only held probably 1,200.
I tell you what, I went to this Queen's birthday bash at Royal Albert Hall. That needs to be a boxing venue. It's unbelievable. Yeah,
it is unbelievable. Oh, that is someplace. They used to have boxing there back in the day, though, didn't they?
Royal Albert Hall, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't Henry Cooper fight there and sort of back around that kind of time?
Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, wow.
Glenn McCrory at the Royal Albert Hall, I think.
Wow. Good memory.
How many do you reckon it holds?
Well, the Royal Albert Hall, I wouldn't like to guess.
No, I wouldn't.
It's got to be 4,000 or 5,000 because...
Yeah, I was going to say 5,000 off the top of my head.
Because it goes that high. I mean, them on top, you bang above it, but you're sky high.
Why did they stop doing boxing there?
Say that again.
Why did they stop doing boxing at Royal Albert Hall?
I don't know. It's such a shame, isn't it?
It is.
Because it's a perfect venue. I mean,
it is.
I think the only issue for fans around is parking, because it's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's probably what it may have been. That,
I think it could have been. I mean, to find a parking spot, you have to pay 30 quid, and you can't park in this place while 7 o'clock. So you have to park somewhere else. So it costs about 30 quid to park, to wait for a parking spot, and then when that opens, it's about another 40 quid.
But mind you, the Royal Albert Hall was going for years doing boxing. What about people who go to Royal Albert Hall for other things, like the orchestra and stuff like that?
Well, like I said, we were there for Queen's birthday
thing,
and it were. I mean, obviously, it were really good, but we did tube and got there. You know, we didn't have to park this time, but my friend, he parked there last time and he said it was a nightmare. Then you've got all these charges where you have to pay inside of London and everything.
Oh, congestion charge, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a problem.
That probably, although I mean, you think that the mentality would be right. We're holding a sporting event. We'll drop the congestion charge in this area for fans coming in, or put on special tubes like they used to for the football years ago when for the old Wembley.
Yep.
I'm sure it could be done, because it is an iconic building that is just perfectly shaped for boxing. It's, you know, if you built an arena specific for boxing, it wouldn't look much different to the old Hall. And 5,000, I mean, even Deontay Wilder could sell that out.
A little blow there.
I know, but I mean, so going on to boxing, are we going for Joshua or Wilder? That is the thing. That is a question.
I was going to save that till a little later because I've got some news on that little story as well. So I definitely need to both to listen to that. For people who don't know who you are, Chris, could you give the room an introduction as to who you are to keep people up to speed?
Well, my name is Chris Smedley. I'm currently part of the training team of Liam Cameron, who is currently the Commonwealth middleweight champion. I'm fighting on Friday night in Sheffield, defending for the first time.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, Chris, remember I said to you before that every time the times I've seen you in the past, we're not smiling. And since Liam Cameron's won the title, you haven't stopped smiling.
Yeah, I'm happy as all. I can walk about head up high, happy. We've achieved, and I think everybody, when you set out in boxing, if you can achieve anything, it's it makes you feel good. And
did you box yourself, Chris?
It's a buzz.
Did you box yourself, Chris?
As a kid, I trained a lot, but the thing is, with me, I was more into football and never dedicated myself to sport, and but I probably learned my tricks at trade probably from best trainer Britain's ever seen, and that's Brendan Ingle.
Absolutely.
Oh wow! Did you train in his gym, or did you have a relationship with him?
Say that again, mate.
Did you train in his gym, or were you like friends, or?
No, I actually ran one of his, he had two gyms, Brendan, and I actually helped run one of the other gym, his other gym, and, we started turning good kids out, and... So
he passed down his knowledge to you?
I just listened to him. I mean, I could sit and listen to Brendan for hours. I mean, he's such a knowledgeable bloke, and
it shows with his style, because every fighter under him had that same style. So he must have been a hell of a trainer to get a boxer to fight a certain way. And it wasn't just one; it was all of them. Johnny Nelson, Nazim, totally different ends of the spectrum in terms of weight, but very similar sort of. Certain the fundamentals were very similar, although they were, not traditional.
I think a lot of that was, the transforming the style with down to Harold Graham.
Yeah.
Turning up at Brendan's, because you speak to Glenn Rhodes and people like that, and before Harold come, it all used to be hands up, the conventional style. So I think a lot of that's to do with Harold Graham, and a lot of what he, was about rubbed on to kids like Nas and, everybody involved in the gym. And Brendan developed a style, or found a style, what could, probably imitate Errol. And, I mean, you can't knock it, because the success it's had is, you look at world champions, you've had Junior Witter, Johnny Nelson. I think Johnny's probably Brendan's biggest success story. Obviously, Nassim Ahmed. I mean, Kelbrook went through rounds at Unity Gym, and And then that's without counting European and British. You know, we want Ryan.
Ryan Rhodes. Yeah.
Like
I heard some great stories with Errol Graham that you know, that you'd need you could throw a handful of sand at him and not a grain would touch him because he was so elusive when he was sparring, and when he'd have kids in with him to, you know, he'd spar, you know, kids of all weights just to get, you know, get them used to fighting someone who was that elusive.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, what you can always say about, you know, these kids with, you know, unorthodox style, what Brendan taught, is when they finish boxing, they all the, you know, they're not punchy because they hardly get hit, they hardly take it. And I mean, when Brendan were in hot seat, I know for a fact that, you know, there were loads and loads of body sparring, and that, I mean, I think Naz won a world title without even sparring open, and that just shows you don't need to be going getting beat up every training camp in sparring.
And ironically, when Naz left Brendan, for me, when he fought Barrera, it was the worst performance of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it was sad, weren't it? I mean, 'cause I am a big, you know, probably one of Naz's biggest fans, and what he's
loved him.
I think, you know, he's the most entertaining boxer Britain's had by far.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm probably one of the most successful. I mean, there's Fortune, you know, other people, but for entertainment from start to finish, there'll never be another Nassim Ahmed.
No, not the way he was in and out of the ring. He was he was a different gravy when he had his own way of doing things. In his he was special. Well, he was another one at that time, that era we came through with boxing that was free on TV, and you know he got viewers switching on and put bums on seats. He sort of set the stall out right back then.
Yeah,
especially in that weight class, because that wasn't a really popular weight class in terms of, you know, in your casual type fans. You know, it was middleweight, super middleweight, or heavyweight.
I mean, if anybody wants to watch a boxing exhibition, to me, when Naz boxed Steve Robinson for the title, you know,
outrageous that was.
Unbelievable. That's hard to win a world title, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, he was awkward, and I boxed, and if I ever fought anybody that was unconventional, it was almost impossible to get a read on them because they would throw shots where you weren't expecting them. They would move to places that normally would be fraught with danger, but their reactions and their movements were, you know, almost you can't be amused by them because you just, you know, normally you can read a fighter, but when it's a bit like Wilder, really. He's going to be a nightmare for Joshua because he wouldn't have seen anything like that.
I mean, look, you know, I've tried to have a look, and I just think that, you know, Wilder will be a little bit too much for Joshua myself. That's my opinion, but, you know, that's my opinions. No, really, but
I have some news on the story actually regarding Joshua and Wilder. Now, what I heard is through a grapevine. I don't know how true this is.
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me, or am I breaking up?
That's it. You're back now.
Am I there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how true this story is. I understand that in November, they're saying around November time that Wilder and Joshua are going to fight, that the terms have been agreed, and that Eddie Hearn had actually said, okay, and he actually made the percentages more favorable for Wilder. And the fight was November. That's what I heard. And they're looking to fight back again in Cardiff. That's what I heard.
I didn't think Wilder fought for money.
Well, that's what I understand.
Yeah, I think I'm. You know, I like Joshua. I like what he stands for in terms of a role model for the kids. You know, how he changed his life around and what he does in the community with regards to crime and trying to be a positive influence on people. He's an immaculate looking athlete. He's a physical specimen, and he totally appeals to the sort of casuals that think he's the second coming of Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, or whatever. And listen, he's decent, but he's really basic. And I think someone like Wilder, who's going to he's never going to see anything like Wilder. He's never going to see shots coming like he's going to see coming from Wilder, because he's unconventional and he carries power. And we know, I mean, everyone goes, oh, everybody's chinny at heavyweight. There's some great heavyweights out there over the years that can hold a shot. You know, it's nonsense to think that, you know, as soon as you get on the chin by any heavyweight, you're going over, because that's rubbish, because some heavyweights don't punch. But I think his whiskers are definitely up for debate. And I you know, I don't rate Wilder either. I think he's, you know, I think the heavyweight division is poor as it has been for decades. But you know, it's just the best of a current bad bunch.
But I've always said this to you: you don't have to rate his boxing ability.
No,
rate his punching power.
Exactly. Yeah, and the way he throws them, he will land. I mean, he's landed on what 40 odd of them, you know. So that what AJ's defense, he comes in straight lines. He's absolutely perfect for Wilder. He throws, he holds one hand down low, and then he throws that shot. He moves in the same robotic way every time. And Parker was a perfect example of how basic his boxing skills are, because Parker isn't no, you know, he's another one. He's got great fundamentals, but you know, Joshua looked lost in there against him. I know he won the fight, blah, 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 but that's because you're scoring all them 10-10 rounds to Joshua, because you know he's going to get the nod. You know, it's an easy fight to score, but neither of them did enough to win rounds, but we know they got given to Joshua. But
what of the ref?
Well, that was just, I don't know where they found him. I mean, it's a fight, right? It is a fight. You know what I mean? If I was fighting Joshua, I'd want that kind of protection. You know what I mean? I would expect that kind of protection. But yeah, it's just it's huge occasion, and it gets spoiled. Like we've seen with Mayweather Hatton. I'm not saying Hatton would have won the fight. We've seen it with woeful judging over the years, and you know, this is basic stuff. I think you get one pass out in sport, and if you mess up again on such a huge occasion, when there's so much at stake for these guys, you know, we laugh and we joke, but they're putting their lives on the line. We've seen so many people over the years, you know, lose their life or end up injured. You know, let's make sure the basics are there, like the ref and the judge. You know, the judge is. You know, let's make sure that's right. You wouldn't bring in a guy from the doctors and go, right, well, how many times have you said, well, I haven't really done that before? You know, you wouldn't do that, would you? But they do it with judges and refs. You know, they wouldn't bring in someone who was an half-trained doctor or a guy that watched Casualty fucking for every series.
Actually, they did, you know. They did.
Yeah.
Actually did.
Yeah, it's just mind-blowing, but there we go. That's boxing for you. That's why we love it.
The heavyweight division being poor, but I mean, there's 3 or 4 personalities that are making it quite exciting for the public. I mean, everybody's waiting for Tyson Fury to come back and put his unorthodox style against him. So there's a little bit of excitement. I mean, Joshua Wilder, people are talking about. So
they've made now. Well, I think it's mandatory for Ortiz against Dillian White, and Dillian's absolutely pissing his pants over it because he don't want that fight, and I'm pretty sure Eddie don't want that fight because, you know, that's that little carrot they kept dangling to Deontay.
I'm not surprised that has happened, because I never thought actually the Wilder White fight was on.
Doesn't sell tickets.
It was one of those things that I felt was just put out there. Dillian, if you beat this guy, we'll give you a world title shot. But really, when are you going to give it a world title shot? We'll just leave you dangling for another guy to beat. And then when you beat that guy, you get a world title shot at the end of it. So when you were saying, Wilder, where are you? Promoter's probably sitting there saying, yeah, you ain't getting no Wilder.
No.
Because the promoter probably knows what's going on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I didn't.
I think myself, with Wilder, you can see it's obvious that he's being avoided, and by Eddie Hearn and Joshua's, you know, team Joshua. Probably Joshua will fight him, but you know, Eddie Hearn is cashing in, so they don't want.
They didn't want nothing to do with him early on before he, you know, I mean, they obviously had a plan. They listen. They know his fragilities. You don't have to even be a boxing expert. You know, just look back at his career. Listen, if you're getting bundled over with big gloves and egg guards on, you've got a serious problem. We had the same thing with Pricey, you know, and we you know, eventually he got found out. Big Frank got found out. They all get found out in that division in the end. And Wilder or Joshua ain't no difference. But you know, that's one of they're both, and it's going to be one of these. I don't want to be, oh, I told you so, because it's inevitable. That division is, you know, is scattered with people that very rarely, apart from Marciano, ended a career with, you know, a perfect one.
Can I ask both you gentlemen a question? Tyson Fury's been out of the ring, what, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
A lot to ask Tyson Fury to come straight back in and expect him to be at the top of his game just like that. He's going to need 3 or 4 fights to get himself back in the groove, to get his match sharpness, or, you know, get himself back to fighting fitness. It's all right getting fit to fight, but it's about being in there, being under the lights and performing and get that sort of confidence back. Is it a bit much for people to mention Tyson Fury's name now, realistically, against the likes of Joshua and Wilder, when he probably won't be in the ring against that sort of caliber until mid to late 2019 for the earliest?
Yeah, I'll let Chris answer that one first.
Well, basically, what people are looking at is how Tyson Fury beat Klitschko, just totally outboxing him. And then, obviously, he went off radar, got stripped. I think they wanted to strip him. Then Tyson went on his binge, and Tyson being Tyson, blew up to about 25 stone. But, you know, now he's back on it. You know, his quality of sparring. But because he definitely needs a couple of fights before he steps in, and, you know, to make himself mentally prepared, you know, because he's not just going to get in at that level and think, right, I'm ready to beat these guys. He obviously wants a couple of warm-ups, and I don't blame him. If I were Team Fury, I'd be looking for, you know, some nice warm-up fights, getting back.
David Price.
Say that again.
David Price would be a good idea for a comeback fight.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, I think Price should, you know, I mean, although...
Sorry, I was being wicked. Sorry, Chris.
No, I do like David Price.
I love David Price. Absolutely adore him. I don't want him to fight anymore. I didn't want him to fight his last fight.
I don't. And, you know, I know he put up a good performance, but on my betting slip, the result were Price getting stopped. Like, if you went down that card other night, I think I ticked every home fighter. Yeah,
if you would have had a pound on it, you'd have won about £1.50.
Well, if you put a £5 accumulator on all home fighters,
yeah,
you'd have drawn £8.
Yeah, that now we shouldn't be having boxing cards like that. I mean, that's the problem now, though. We've got celebrities and personalities fighting, so you're not getting I don't mean this in a bad way, but not genuine fight fans. You know, the guys that I bet none of these guys that go and watch. Well, not none of them. I bet less than 60% have been to supported a small hall show and watched amateur boxing, or gone and watched a local lad who fights in their area. They're just interested in this big night out and watching Joshua. You know, that or whoever's, you know, the superstar they're following.
And the fight, like Joshua's last fight, we're all set out for him to win. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh, down to the ref, the opponent. You know, I mean, I was a fan of Parker, but he was gun shy. He didn't commit at all in the fight, and after about 5 or 6 rounds, he looks like he just wanted to coast to a loss.
Yeah, we're happy to.
He had no ambition. Happy to take his £6 million.
And like, I mean, if I'd have been sat at that venue, I'd have probably been asleep.
Yeah, it was woeful.
When I go to a show, I try and watch every fight. You know,
yeah, I do. I'm in there at sort of. Whatever show I go to, I get in there for 5:30 and I watch all the, you know, the card right the way through, because that, for me, that's the idea of going to a night of boxing, to watch boxing.
Exactly.
Another question for both you gentlemen.
Let me answer about Tyson. My opinion on that. If he was a conventional fighter, I totally agree with you. But let's not be mistaken. He boxes in his own style. He has his own way of fighting, and that makes him hard to beat and unique. And I just think, he boxes with such confidence and at such range. It's not until he gets lazy or silly, like, you know, we get this whole thing. Oh, he was put over by a cruiserweight and all that. Listen, he was messing about and got caught square on. You know what I mean? You could push him over. Never mind hit him on the chin. He was never hurt. You know, that was one of those things. That was when he was also over there without Peter, wasn't he? He was with someone else in his corner over there, and he basically threw out everything that he'd sort of learnt through Peter and boxed a silly fight. But ultimately, when he's on his game, he can keep it long and take very few risks and not get involved. And when he does eventually beat either Wilder or Joshua, it'll be a stinker of a fight, pretty much like what it was if you know, I liked his performance against Klitschko. I thought it was calculated, it was measured, he stuck to the game plan, and he made it a very, very easy night against a guy that had dominated for 10 plus years.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here for a second. And I have to play devil's advocate for this reason. Two things have changed in Tyson Fury, or three things have changed in Tyson Fury's career. A, the trainer. So he's got a different trainer in his corner now. B, that was Vladimir Klitschko he did it against, a guy who had already been knocked out and a guy who already had been beaten and was at, you could say, the end or coming to the end of his career.
He was definitely regressing. He certainly wasn't progressing.
And so you had Tyson had the blueprints to beat Vladimir Klitschko.
And the style.
Wilder are two guys. They're two guys that are not Vladimir Klitschko. No, they may not possess the same boxing ability of Vladimir Klitschko, but their mindsets are very different. The passion to fight is very different and to engage. And so you've got one guy who's a very explosive puncher in Wilder, who's very unorthodox and wild. And you've got a guy who's Joshua, who, you know, is very dedicated, will always come into shape, coming to camp and coming to a fight in shape, and is methodical, but he's getting incrementally better and better and better. So by the time Tyson Fury gets to fight either a Wilder or a Joshua, now I thought before the gap between Tyson and Joshua was miles apart when he fought Klitschko. How much since Tyson's been away, Joshua's moved on, has that gap closed, or is it an illusion?
Well, it's always, listen, when you possess the power that Wilder and Joshua has, it's always going to be a coin flip. There's no, you know, if it was, as long as Tyson doesn't get lazy and sort of starts falling in or starts trying to trade or you know, stand toe to toe with either of them, I think his fundamentals are far superior. I wasn't no, you know, Klitschko didn't give me a hard on. You know, he was no great fighter. He was just the best of a very, very weak era. I mean, it was an awful era for boxing. When you look at the guys that actually beat him, you know, they were not exactly superstars themselves. But, you know, he just getting served up these same fighters. Povetkin probably was, you know, and that's about it. You know, so I just think, for me, Fury is the better boxer of them. He obviously doesn't carry the same concussive power, but I don't think he would need concussive power against either AJ or Wilder. And I don't think he would have to be at his best, because neither of them are particularly, you know, they don't have any, the awkwardness of Wilder and the distance he throws his shots from could cause AJ Tyson a problem. But I just can't see what Joshua can do. You know, he's a much bigger man, Fury. He's got a longer reach, which is something that AJ rarely has to deal with, or if ever. And he's never fought someone who actually has that kind of movement. I mean, Parker, whose movement is limited, gave Joshua all the problems he could need. I know he won the fight, blah, 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 but he didn't exactly look devastating.
Let me throw somebody else into the equation just for a second, because people slated Hughie Fury off for the performance he put on against Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker showed a bit of movement and caused Joshua a few issues here and there.
Yeah.
How does Hughie Fury fit into this mix now? Or does he not fit in at all?
I'll let Chris answer that one, because he's probably more knowledgeable on Hughie.
I think Hughie Fury is still learning, and, you know, he is still learning game. But going back to Tyson Fury, it probably, yeah, I agree that Joshua would have nightmares with him because, you know, he's not got much movement, he's pretty stiff.
Yeah.
But like with Wilder, being that bit wilder and busier, that's where I think that, you know, Tyson would struggle. And, you know, if he gets caught off Wilder, would he be able to take that power? As we all know, he stopped everyone but one. So I do think that, you know, if I were training Tyson Fury, I'd be definitely looking for warm-ups because,
yeah,
you know, it's always better to prepare, isn't it? Good preparation,
yeah,
you know, good results. And
well, he's got this multi-fight deal with Frank, and you know, the money's been put in an escrow or whatever it's called. So he's not. Listen, they're clever enough. They'll cream whatever, whether it's a 3 or a 4 fight deal. It's definitely not a 5 fight deal. I know that much. I think he'll just do those 4 fights with Frank, and I'm pretty sure he'll probably sign with Eddie to make that AJ fight if AJ still has that unbeaten record. But we talk so often about styles make fights. I think Tyson beats AJ. Tyson could lose to Wilder, but AJ beats Wilder. That's what I think. Ooh, we froze.
Right, Chris.
Few technical issues.
Technical issues or Windows update. That's what it is. Windows is updating. Went Windows update. Shut my system down. But I'm back.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not sure you caught my end bit regarding the trio of Fury, AJ, and Wilder. I think Fury would beat AJ right now. Well, not right now, but you know what I mean. But I think AJ beats Wilder, but I think Wilder could beat Fury. You know, it's one of those. It's styles make fights.
Absolutely. Chris, you still in the room?
Yeah, of course I'm still in there listening.
Fantastic. So thanks to Windows. That was a Windows break. Windows updates. Thank you, Windows. I'll be talking to you later. So yeah, sorry about that. So Chris, you were talking about the trio: Tyson Fury, Wilder, and Joshua. Did you want to add anything to that, Chris?
I just think Wilder beats both, and Fury beats AJ. Fury will probably have a better chance with good prep against Wilder, but you know, I think Wilder's the man at heavyweight myself.
And he's tiny, isn't he? He's only 15 odd stone, and I mean, I know he's tall. Was he 6'5", 6'6"?
There is as well, though, can't he?
There is something I mentioned back in the day. Those people who followed Bayloric TV way back in the day, when the first Fury-Hay fight was announced, and I said that Hay and Fury would not fight, and I said when Adam Booth cut Hay, well, I said Adam Booth cut Hay as a joke, and it was all went round media speculation. I said that happened because Wilder had put a thumping on Hay and did something he shouldn't have done. Now it's coming out years later on.
Well, Hay could have got that Wilder fight, couldn't he? Before he took the Bellew fight, and he did
Hay,
swerve.
The story's coming out now that Wilder gave Hay a thumping in sparring.
Isn't that footage around and Hay edited it down or something?
Right, and all the people at the time, all the know-it-alls, I told them, Hay Fury 1 won't happen, and Hay Fury 2, the actual, you know, trying to get the fight to happen. It won't happen. And Adam Booth said I was talking shit. He said it live. He said I was talking crap. He said it was all conspiracy theories. It's not true. What happened? And those people, if you go back and listen to my video all the way back then, I said, I'm sure that Wilder put a beating on Hay, and Hay went and turned it all around and put that video out there to make it look good.
He swerved Wilder, swerved Fury, and then thought he took Bellew thinking he was going to be the soft touch for the most money.
Now Richard Towers comes out and reveals that, so the article is, that Wilder put a beating on Hay.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised. He's so athletic. He's explosive. And like I said, he's damn awkward. You know, he must be a nightmare to face because you're not going to get a read on him because he's unconventional.
I would like to have seen that footage of Hay and Wilder.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen the original footage. I've seen the bit that
Sheffield Arena.
Yeah, Audley Harrison. Yes,
dived on him, didn't it? All over and around.
I interviewed Wilder the night before that happened. The night before it happened, he was telling me what he was going to do to Audley Harrison. And poor old Audley.
Oh, I love Audley.
He was my classmate.
I tell you a great story about Audley Harrison, right? This is true. And Eric Bristow is involved in this. My old sponsor, Rab Bain, we used to play a tournament in Vegas, and he always used to travel first class. He could afford it. So me and Eric got invited up to have some drinks with Rab in first class. So we were up there and we're having a booze, and of course, you know, it's a long flight, so there was a lot of booze, and we were rather loud and telling jokes, and so I could see this biggest pair of feet I've ever seen in my life hanging out of one of these first class beds. Got invited up, and lo and behold, we got asked to leave, and I was, oh, all right, okay, I understand. Anyway, I was chatting to Eric. I go, I can't believe someone threw us out of first class. We weren't even that loud. And I just had a little tap on my shoulder, and I looked around and looked up, and it was Audley. And he went, I threw you out of first class.
Oh,
it's brilliant.
But I'll tell you what, though. I mean, he sold himself well, didn't he, Audley Harrison? You can't fault him for that. He made money.
Well, he's very. Everyone keeps reminding him, oh well, AJ gold medalist. I said, yeah, so was Audley, but Audley did market himself very well. It was just unfortunately of his age, and you know he got thrown. They didn't sort of pad him long enough. I mean, they fed him enough easy meat, but then he eventually got exposed.
The truth behind Audley is he cut corners in training and wasn't dedicated to sport the way he should have done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the person who was managing Audley at the time is a distant relative. And I heard the whole story of up to the point Audley was unbeaten. When she left him, she was his manager up to, I think he was either 20 or 19-0 or 20-0.
Yeah.
And then she left him. The next fight, Danny Williams. And you all know what happened after that.
Danny Williams, there's a blast from the past.
So, Chris, you're in the room. Chris Smedley. Talk to us about your fighter, Liam Cameron.
Say that again. What is it? What?
Talk to us about your fighter, Liam Cameron.
What is it about him?
Well, you tell me. He's fighting this weekend. You're his trainer.
Yes. Well, he's defending his title for first time against Nicky Gemman from Brighton, who stepped in with 3 weeks ago because Danny Butler pulled out. So that's all.
Danny Butler from Bristol?
Danny Butler from Bristol.
Yeah, I know Danny well.
Decent fighter.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good opportunity. We've not had a reason why he's pulled out, but, you know, thanks to Dennis Hudson, he's pulled out, you know, another ace, and he's got Nicky Gemman, who used to be at Eubanks Gym.
Oh, okay.
Oxford a southpaw, but I've never seen him fight southpaw, and he might do pad southpaw. But, you know, he's got 20 wins, 10 losses. So he's a decent, you know, replacement and somebody you can't take your eye off. So.
And Liam won the title off of Sam Sheedy?
Yeah, he did.
Or did he? Yeah, he did, yeah. This way, was it? Didn't he fight Dunn for the vacant, or?
No, Sheedy was champion. So
right, okay.
Challenge, and Liam went in there and stopped him in 8 rounds. I think he dropped Sam in 3 times in 4th, twice in the 7th, and stopped him in 8th. But
he'd only been beaten a couple of times, hadn't he, Sheedy?
Not like that.
No, not like that's what I mean. Yeah, not like not getting blown out like that.
Mm.
And he lost to Nav Mansouri, but never lost that. So, you know, you can't. And then Liam just destroyed him, and it's first time Liam's boxed at middleweight since amateur day. Well, first turning pro, and I think he's found his weight now. And we've fetched a dietitian on board.
What was he fighting at? Super middle?
Dietitian at Sheffield United FC, and I think that's the difference.
So has he come down? He's come down from super middle to middle.
He's come from super middle down to middle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 6'1".
Yeah, I read a little bit about that. He was 6'1". That's a big lad for a middle.
Oh, unbelievable! I mean,
especially by the time he rehydrates and
super middle until he stood outside of Callum Smith, obviously.
Yeah, I sat next to him ringside at a fight, and I was just like, "How on earth do you make? Well, you must have like a bird and have hollow bones, because it's just I just don't see how that huge frame can get down to super middle. He's huge.
Unbelievable. Well, Liam fought him twice in amateurs. He boxed him in NABC's quarterfinal, and it were computer scoring. It was 17 all after, you know, and then it went to count back. It was 23-23, and then it goes to the 5 judges, and 3 voted for Callum, 2 for Liam. We thought Liam had got it, but the second one, Callum, I thought Callum won it because Liam had a weight issue. It was good for the first round, but second, third, it just weren't in it, and Callum deserved that one. But, you know, he's done well, Callum Smith, and I mean,
final of the Super Series, isn't it, against George Groves?
Well, that's the fight. Well, you know,
well, we'll find out how good Smith is when he fights Groves.
That's what we all want to see.
Yeah,
Groves and Callum Smith, Kellen Khan. You know, then we want to see Fury and AJ. So the British boxing's booming at the minute.
Oh, it's massive. We've also got the return of King Khan, and we need to see the rebirth of Chris Eubank. I haven't got a jab, Junior. Unbelievable. It is, though. The British boxing at the minute is absolutely buzzing.
You know, if you the thing is, if he wants to have a pop at a belt at middleweight, I mean, if we come through with this one,
yeah, hey, that's a fight.
I had to laugh at that. I mean, Nassim Ahmed is the best TV pundit I've ever seen.
The thing is, right, it makes me laugh. Right? I'm a pundit in darts, so I have to sometimes sort of rein my opinions in slightly. But the thing is with Nas, he got so much money, he doesn't need the job. That he does it with such freedom that he knows that, well, sack me, I don't care, I don't even want to do it anyway, you know. And he's just so funny. He's so funny.
It's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He just speak the truth.
He's finished. He's finished.
And he's finished. Well, to be honest, I don't think you can teach an old dog new tricks.
Sports, and obviously we have commentating Glenn McCrory, who's to me one at best anyway.
Glenn McCrawley and John Rawlin duo for me is the best in boxing.
Ian Dark, don't forget Ian Dark.
Yeah, I love Ian Dark. Absolutely love Ian Dark. You get three of them together, now that's a dream commentating team.
It is.
And obviously, like Freeview's a new channel.
Yeah.
And Dennis, you know, if you want views, if you're looking for views, get Nassim Ahmed as pundit. And
yeah, absolutely. I'll do it with Nas. Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I know the darts. Not this side of the sport that I'm involved in closely, which is the PDC, which is everything you see on Sky and ITV. But the BDO darts people have been trying to get some on that channel because it's a great platform and potentially, you know, if it's done right, it could be huge because it's free to air as long as you've got like your digital TV box or a 4K TV.
But the thing is, I mean, you know, if you look at boxing, Eddie Hearn, he's like dominating with Sky for his dad Barry Hearn. Frank, he's got BT. So they're just trying to keep it a bit of a monopoly. I mean, then you've got Channel 5. I think Ennis's got a couple of dates. Adam McGuigan's got a couple of dates. David Hayes got a date. Well,
this Friday we got that. It's a bit like the Prize Fighter, isn't it, on Channel 5 this Friday?
Oh, yeah. It's but, I mean, that might have, you know, a bit of, you know, detriment to free sports, which Dennis, but people like Dennis, you know, I have to take my hat off because, you know, he's chucking money at boxing. He's trying
puts his money where his mouth is.
He's in limelight, and you know, he's not making millions at it like Eddie Hearn.
Dennis won't be making money. He'll be losing money, I'd say.
He is. He's losing money, but you know, I think it's, you know, it's his passion and ambition. But you can only lose money for so long before you go, well, I've had enough of this.
Well, I hope that there's some sort of transition period where, like it was years ago, where you would get packed out arenas to watch, you know, British title fights and Commonwealth title fights or eliminators for title fights, not just this whole product of the media type fighters, which, you know, ultimately Joshua is. He appeals to the casual boxing fan. I want to see these casual boxing fans at the small all shows, at the shows that Dennis is putting on.
The problem is, I feel, is that boxing today, there's a lot of people who have been built via social media, but there is no journey. There is no real journey. There's no background.
No, we want to follow that journey.
Exactly. So people are not interested in the journey. They just want to see them fight. And that's what the problem is. You got to build a fighter up. You got to build the story up from where they are from they start, they become a turned pro. They've given you a story of Joshua.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The story of Joshua.
Yeah, his backstory of where he come from and
absolutely
his background and everything else. There is that, you say there's that story that you can follow. And now you think social media allows us to follow. Instagram allows us to follow this whole story. It's this whole storyboard almost. And I think nowadays that's what they have to do, but at the lower level of boxing.
Definitely. It needs something doing because, like I said, other than that, it's just like, I mean, how many fighters has Eddie Hearn got on his books or promotion deals? So everybody's fighting for scraps, and I mean, that is the bad side of boxing. I mean, and
you also got the Chris. You also got the fighters that want to be moved through too quickly.
20 fights. I mean, you know, do you want to imagine starting first at Wembley, first fight on night?
5 o'clock.
30 people in the arena.
Yeah.
You know, what good's that?
Yeah, I mean,
I run Joshua Bill or I run it, but I mean, they're all like, we know who's won before they even look at it. And at least these small old shows, you do see genuine 50-50 fights.
Well, they are. You if you can get a bet on any of them, you won't find a 100 to 1 on shot a small all fight.
No,
it just don't happen. You know, they're being matched, and they're being matched accordingly to where they are in their careers. Where the young fighters of today, you know, they just want to be AJ. You know, they want to be superstars making all the dough, and they've not done their apprenticeship, which is hence they get found out. Like, you know, Conrad at the weekend, he was
guys making the development of Conor Benn.
Conor Benn is padded again, isn't it? Padded record. Put him in with a decent fighter. He's going to get beat, man. I mean,
well, you look at not his last fight, the fight before. I mean, I thought I like Conor Benn. I think he's a decent kid, but he lost that fight. You know, it was a typical hometown decision, and he dodged a bullet there. And then, you know, he looked a little bit better in his last fight, but again, it's limited opposition. He's not. As soon as he gets his first real stiff test, people fancy the job against him now. That's the problem in boxing, especially when you're coming through where he should be on small all shows. He shouldn't have this exposure. Young lads now are getting a chance to fight him. They fancy the job because he's been exposed.
That was a warm-up to fight the guy that he had beat beforehand.
Yeah.
That was a warm-up for the rematch to the guy that dropped him.
Yeah, I think he's in trouble in that rematch because everybody fancies the job now. Where years ago, if you was fighting on small all shows, you could get away with a bad performance because people wouldn't see it. You know, where now, you know, it's dodgy ground. It's there on tape. You can rewatch it. If you were fighting Conor Benn, you can see the holes in his armory, and people will fancy the job because they know they beat Conor Benn. They make a huge name for themselves.
I agree with you, definitely. And, you know, it's a bit like, you know, you've got Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, and really, they're where they are because of the father's success.
So social media fighters.
Yeah,
exactly. And all right, I can't blame them because, you know, it's a hard sport. Make as much money as you can, get out in it before you know, we've all seen what can happen.
Yeah.
In recent incidents, but you know, for me, it's probably the most genuine sport in the world,
and a majority of the people in it are as well.
Although there's a few snakes in there, mate. But
oh yeah, but you know, if you
you have to choose the sharks you swim with.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I suppose it's in darts as well, though. You know, I bet you've got that in darts.
Yeah, but it's in terms of, you know, it's a pretty much a one-on-one sport, obviously a non-contact sport. But I mean, years ago when we were going through the whole split, and you know, there was two governing bodies, and one went one way and one went the other. That was a tough time. But you know, darts is effectively it's run by Barry Hearn and the PDC and a Matchroom, and it's a well-oiled machine that he's found the blueprint that works. and it just, I mean, prize money next year is £12 million. This year in prize money. I mean, that's just, I mean, there was a kid last year that turned pro in February, and by January, and earned more money in 9 months than I earned in 16 years.
Wow.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Mad.
And you didn't have green eye looking at him.
No, well, yeah. No. The funny story about it is, right, his name's Rob Cross, right? He won the World Championships at Christmas. We did a program about it, right? Well, a friend of mine I used to stay with in Edenbridge, he said, listen, it's about 6 years ago. He went, listen, I got this kid. I reckon he's going to be world champion. Yeah, right. He said, listen, when you're down next staying with me when the world champions are, I want you to go and practice with him. I went, yeah, right. So I went down to a local pub, had a few hours with him. I said, nah, he ain't no good, mate. He ain't no good. He ain't going to do nothing in darts. 5 years later, he's world champion. Great judge, me.
As a darts player, how often do you practice? What's your length of times? How do you coach a darts player? It's so.
Yeah, well, when I was at my sort of prime of my career is probably 98 to about 2001. I was practicing. Well, my mate owned a pub that wasn't open in the daytime, so I had a key to it, and he built me a stage that would sort of a replica of a TV environment, and I would go in there about 12 o'clock, make a cup of tea. I'd practice probably from 12:30 to 4:30, sometimes a little bit later, and I'd go home, have my dinner, and I'd go back in the pub then on the night, and then play league darts and practice for another hour and a half. In terms of coaching, that's just starting to come now in darts, where before it was, you didn't really have you certainly didn't have any sort of sports psychology involved in darts, where now there's lots, players are more wary of their lifestyle, and slowly but surely a bit of fitness is coming in and nutrition. The shape of dart players is definitely changing from that famous "Not the 9 o'clock news" sketch where alas Smith and Jones were doing the drinking and throwing darts at the dartboard. Yeah, it's definitely changing. It for a good thing. I mean, obviously there's no drinking on stage anymore, and definitely obviously no smoking. And it's changing for the better. It's being taken more seriously because obviously the money that they're playing for, but the persona of the game is changing, which is all good.
I've always wondered, mate, that's all.
Chris, back to Liam Cameron for a second. His opponent and the change of opponent, is there any possibility that this change of opponent can cause the upset?
Well, I mean, he actually thinks he's going to cause an upset, but we've got to make sure that there's no upset, I mean, it's like, you look at just going to ground races, they put a reserve dog in, it always flies and wins, doesn't it? Yeah. In this game, it's a bit different, and Liam, it doesn't matter. Obviously, I've watched Gemman. Liam hasn't watched him, but I think that we bring these levels, and I just think that Liam's at a different level to Nicky Gemman and should come out with flying colours in this fight. But preparation, like every boxer will say, I've had a brilliant training camp, I've had this and I've had that. I mean, our training camp, we've been training for Elliot Matthews, who pulled out then, so we let him have time off. Then he got back on it, and he pulled out again. So I had to take Liam away. So me and Liam went to Lanzarote for a couple of weeks, just so I could get him fully focused and 100% on it, because Liam were a bit undecided. Is this fight going to happen? But I knew it would, so we got on it. And then when we got back to Sheffield, they were fully on it. So that's when we teamed up again with Mike White up at, Dinnington Gym. Mike does his sessions with Liam, and it's brilliant, and Liam's enjoying the training. He's enjoying making the weight because his dietitian is giving the diet, is eating more, drinking more, and losing more weight. So
A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter.
Sorry?
A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter.
Exactly. And, you know, people say, well, you know, like with performance of Sam Sheedy, when he boxed Sam, he trained exactly the same, but because he was eating more and his diet were right, he were putting more effort into the training. And obviously we went to Australia, boxed Zach Dunn at super middleweight, but in fights, we got to Australia, anyway, he had to shake off 6 pounds on morning at weigh-in. So, and there were no bathing apartment. So we went and found a wheelie bin on the street, washed it out, and we filled the wheelie bin with hot water, chucked Epsom salts in it, and he sat in wheelie bin to make the weight. But now he's not doing that.
Wasn't he unbeaten, that Zach Dunn?
Say again, Paul?
Yeah, he was.
That Zach Dunn, he was an unbeaten fighter as well, wasn't he?
Zach Dunn, I think he'd 21 wins, 19 by KO, but Liam actually exposed him and could have beat him, and you know it were very close, and that probably it gave Brophy and Billy Nelson the confidence. They went out to Australia and beat him in his next fight, but Liam exposed him and Brophy beat him.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so, but we'd like that fight. You know, if that fight were in middleweight, it'd be a different result altogether. Yeah, I mean, it's easy saying that, isn't it? But I just think it will.
So, in terms of, okay, so you know how he trained for Sheedy. What improvements do you think Liam's made from the Sheedy fight to where he is now for this fight now?
Obviously, his confidence is sky high at the minute. Which, coming off a result like that, going into a fight being underdog and dominating and, you know, at a canter. So we've just been working on, you know, getting jabbing more, you know, because he's got a brilliant jab, holding centre at ring, you know, and just working a little bit more. And obviously Liam, his defence is second to none. He's never been put down at amateurs, touch wood. He's never been put down as a pro. And, you know, he's been in with some really good fighters over years. So, and he's only 27 still. That's the good thing, Ingram. He's 27-year-old. So, you know, there's plenty of years left in Liam to get to the top. And I think at middleweight, you know, he's on his way. There's good fights out there. I mean, he's ranked number 5 in Britain now. That's another confidence booster for him. He looks above and sees Billy Joe within reach. Langford, he stopped as an amateur. You know, they did a good number. And, you know, I can remember Frankie Gavin won in a bet with me when Liam boxed Langford in amateurs. I said, I don't want to take your money, Frankie. And anyway, Liam goes and stops him. And it's quite clear that Langford's avoided Liam because he's picked Welburn in his voluntary defence.
That's a great story for a potential rematch in the pros, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think Langford would want that, being British champion, knowing you've only ever been stopped. Well, I know that little, that small fella, I think he's locked up now.
Mini Tyson.
Yeah.
I know he knocked him out, but that's only Langford's 2 stoppages, Liam and him. So he had a chance to avenge one, and I think, you know, when you know you can't beat somebody, I just think that Langford's got that in his head.
Yeah, he should want that fight. That's a great fight. And he's got a great backstory. That would be, you know, that would do numbers.
Yeah. Well, I actually messaged Jason McCrory saying, because I didn't know that Langford had left Frank Warren and crew, and I think he's signed for that long shots or something. But obviously, I said to Jason McCrory on Twitter, well, really, if Langford wants a defence, Liam will put his Commonwealth on line. Anyway, he never replied. Then I see and I sees that he's fighting that Welburn, and I said, you know, does TV want to really see 80-20 fights and that? And then he messaged me, he's not with us no more. So,
that's what turns I think that's what turns the smaller broadcasters off. With Sky, it doesn't matter. They can serve up any old junk, and it'll get, you know, it'll do the same numbers no matter who's sort of fighting. Where when you've got a terrestrial platform like Dennis has sort of invested time and money in, you know, I just don't. What time does it start Friday, the broadcast?
I think it's 9 o'clock it starts. 9, 11.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a perfect little slot. That, no, you know, people have got their things out of the way by then. The wives have watched their soap operas and then bang on the boxing.
Well, the thing is, it's free to air as well.
Yeah.
There's no paying. You just click on 424 on Sky or 95 on Freeview, and Free Sports is there. And I mean, I wish they would. It's hard, you know, to get a promoter to lose money, and you know Dennis is doing that. So you have to say a big thanks to him to get a bit of exposure for the lads. And
yeah, I like Dennis. I don't know him personally, but obviously, you know, I was a big fan of going to sort of the smaller shows over the years and watching fighters developed. And you know, I've gone to a lot of his shows over the years, and he puts on great cards. I mean, the guy, first and foremost, is a huge fight fan, and you know, I know he's a successful businessman, but the fact that he continues to strive, he's one of those guys you just wish he'd, you know, sign a fighter up and get that one lucky break to turn it around. And if you sign that, you know, one fighter that becomes a star, you know, they don't need to move. You know, they can.
no,
You know, if you do the right viewing figures, people, you know, that's what pays the bills. It's all about numbers.
I mean, but if you look at, I mean, Dennis from scratch, he's took like Clinton from Central, you know, guided him all the way through to IBF World Champion.
He was in some great fights.
Agreement and finished with him. He took Jamie McDonald from nothing to IBF champion. He jumped ship, went with Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
Stuart Hall took him from nothing, got him an IBF world title. And obviously they fell out again because he lost to Paul Butler. And then, you know, to Stuart Hall, who would think Stuart Hall would be a world champion? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamie McDonald's done well. After, you know, leaving, he's gone and boxed away. But I wouldn't say that, you know, he's earned his own performance with going away to win his world titles, his WBA. But you know, you look at the likes of Stuart Hall. I mean, I think he's only British title level, and so to get an IBF title with him. But look what he did with Ricky. Took him to Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas with Ricky Hatton, and I think he unified. He put Hatton in. He unified his titles with that Mauser.
Yeah. Carlos Mauser. Yeah.
Beat that Collazo, and then obviously
tough night for Ricky. That was.
Yeah.
And then he took him to Vegas, beat Juan Urango.
Yeah.
Then he got there were Hatton versus Urango, and what do you call the Mexican? We beat
Castillo.
Urango.
Castillo
against Floyd.
Yep.
But that Castillo were in a fight in a semi-final, and then he put on a big final against Castillo at Thomas and Mack in Vegas. So Dennis is like, he's done it, hasn't he? And he's been there. He's got these. He had Satanta. He had David A. He had Carl Thompson. I mean, he had Carl Thompson when he beat David A.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you know, Dennis is not without knowledge in boxing, you know, and to me, he's just a down-to-earth person. Like,
well, he's a boxing man, isn't he? See, you cut him open and it'd be a ring of boxing. You know, if he was like a tree.
Loves it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you can tell that every time you hear him, when you see him interviewed or talking about the fight game. You can tell he absolutely it's his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Dennis has. I mean, I've been involved with Dennis about 15 years in boxing, and you know, I had chance from our fighters to sign with Frank Warren, to sign with Frank Maloney, but you know, I just thought, well, you know, Dennis is a good kid. And like I said, we're still pals. We've never had one fallout ever. Probably because I don't even bother. You know, I don't even talk money. I keep away from that. It's hard enough dealing with a boxer. You know, I'm money.
Don't want to fall out with Dennis anyway.
I actually, you know, I went to Dennis a bit in promotions, you know, putting shows together, and that opened my eyes on promotional side, thinking, wait a minute, this guy's investing money here and he's not making a penny, he's losing.
Yeah.
And you know, so you start looking at it in a different view. I mean, before I'd go in my boxer and I'd think, well, wait a minute, we've done four or 5 grand for tickets here. We should be getting this and should be getting that. But you don't realise the cost of a show, the cost of officials, doctors,
TV rights,
ambulances. It's just, you know, ring hire, security. I mean, by the time you've finished, they're out of pocket. And I witnessed that working outside of Dennis, and I just thought, balls to that. I'll never be able to.
No, I'd say, Maz, I wouldn't fancy that.
Chris, your thoughts? Chris, I'm going to ask you your thoughts on the Khan-Brook situation in Sheffield.
Oh, it'd be great. I mean, my son Nicky boxed him in a Khan, well, you know, in junior ABA final. So I've got a bit of history with Khan, but you know, I've known Kel from being a young lad and going through amateurs. Obviously, I was at another club. I spent a bit of time with him while I was at Rendon's, not working with him because he was down at Rendon's. But obviously, you know, he's a nice kid. And when you've known somebody so long, I mean, I've known Khan a long time, but I've seen Kel more, talked to him. I know Terry. So obviously, my heart is I'd love Kel to beat Khan. Now, Willie, I think the issues he's got is Khan's hand speed is phenomenal. I mean, I can actually say Khan's probably the best amateur I've ever seen, as in work rate, hand speed, you know, relentlessness. He hasn't got the power, but it would just, through that many shots, it's hard to beat. And I think that Kel might through his speed a bit. I hope he doesn't. You know,
well, every fighter Can's faced, they've always struggled for the first sort of 4 or 5 rounds, and then he reverts to type and thinks he's, you know, becomes this warrior who can stand and trade. And we've, you know, it's not like once, you know, when he fought Prescott, I was one of those that fancied Prescott to turn him over because he had the, you know, he had the armory and he had the chin that, you know, he could probably walk him down. And I think Kel's size and strength, I just think he walks Can down, and no doubt Can will have success in, you know, the first few rounds because his hand speed is blistering. I think just Kel's too strong, too cute. He comes from different angles, and again, Can's a very straight liney fighter. It's back and forth in straight lines.
He is. I agree with that, but I mean, it is an hard one to call, but
when you think of the punishment he took against Golovkin and was still giving it back, that to me tells me that and Can is not going to be big at. I mean, if they have a catch weight at 150, which they have to have, there's no titles on the line, so you can make it a catch weight. At 150, I think Brook's too strong and walks him down and eventually walks him onto something.
I would like to see Kel fight Spence, you know, his new way, because I actually, you know, when I watch that, I do think you know, Kel were winning that fight, and I just thought that it was shattered, and that's why, you know, that was one of the reasons he stopped. But I know at that next weight, I think Kel beats him. That's it's my opinion that, but I was glad, and I was shocked how Kel came through his last fight. I didn't expect him to do that. I don't think he expected it. I mean, because I asked him, I saw him at Bramall Lane because we went to Billy Joe, which was brilliant. We could talk to Billy Joe, and
yeah, he is.
but it's funny, isn't it? But we went to, I saw Kel, and I said, because when I saw him coming out, I could see a little bit of nerve, you know, like I knew he was nervous, and I asked him how he felt, and he says, well, obviously it did feel like that, but, you know, he did a great job on that comeback fight. And
yeah, because that was potentially an awkward opponent, but he just made him look just, again, it was just size, strength, and he's got great ring craft. I think Kel's underrated personally. I personally didn't give him much chance against Golovkin or Spence.
I did. Well, I mean, when he got, obviously he was stepping up to middleweight against puncher.
He's too big, Golovkin. Just too big.
Yeah, technically.
There's not a lot in it technically. I mean, he was, and he held his shots for.
Golovkin will ever have, but Golovkin's just a machine, and look at trains. You know, he trains like a maniac, and you know, he's just dedicated. He's got a bit of everything, and that makes him special. Great
chin, great power, great movement, great punch variety. He's a tough man to beat, and to step up like he did through the weights. I mean, fair play to taking the fight, and like I said, until he, you know, ultimately it was, you know, it wasn't the fact that he got completely sort of blitzed out of it. You know, he's because of his size, he just couldn't take the power of the shots.
Well, the thing is, if you watch it, you just see Golovkin warming up.
Yeah,
warming up them first few rounds. And,
scary fighter.
He acknowledged a couple of Kel's good shots, you know. You can see him acknowledge him to Kel.
Oh, he caught him. He caught him clean, and you know, he definitely knew he'd been hit.
Oh, Kel can punch. Like, I mean, would Khan be able to take Kel's power? That is it. Yeah.
Khan couldn't take my power, Chris.
but let's just have a look back. Khan gets a great result against Madonna, and
yeah, I didn't give him that fight personally, but there we go.
I know, but well, I thought he deserved it, and then, you know, Madonna gets him with Mayweather, loses a close fight, so it chucks everything into, makes you think, well, he's just done that to him, and he's only just got, you know, your brain starts analysing and thinking, well, he's got a great chance against him and that, and then you think, you look at Mayweather beats Alvarez, and then you think, well, can't chance against Alvarez, and then he gets knocked out. But I mean,
no, he made Alvarez boil down to
talking about somebody getting beat up in sparring. Weren't you, Ingram, mentioning?
What's that?
You were mentioning earlier, you know, about sparring.
Yes.
Wilder battered in sparring.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Didn't Eubank batter Groves in sparring?
Something like that.
Didn't Groves, or didn't Froch drop Groves in something like that?
Yeah. And then Groves came back
and drops him. Sparring, and you know, it's like with Liam. We've had like 4 different sparring partners, like 3 in, do 3 rounds, get out, another one in fresh, another one in fresh, another one in fresh. So he's doing like 12 rounds with 3 or 4 different opponents. So, and like some of them got top side of Liam, but it's, you know, like when they're getting in after like 9 rounds and like Liam's still in there pushing. Don't forget he's in his 12, 9, 10, well, 10 round, 11, 12. Then they're fresh.
Yeah, so, that's good sparring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how to get you the best out of your fighter, and how to, because Liam's saying to me after on way home, if they'd have stayed in longer, they wouldn't have been able to hack it. I said, I know they wouldn't. You know, that's why we get them in fresh.
That's why you rotate them and keep them fresh.
Say that again, Paul?
That's why you rotate them and keep them fresh, so it's always an examination.
You know, and we had a mixture of novice pros and, you know, like very experienced amateurs who are busy, game and hungry. So they're getting in there and they're throwing everything for 3 rounds. And he angled it, and, you know, once he starts getting his little body shots off, because, I mean, I don't think Liam, Ingram, he never believed he had power, you know.
Really?
And now he just, you know, he just, Liam was that sort of person, he'd lose 3 pounds and think, right, I can have a cheat now. I mean, he never took it 100% serious. But like you said, he's run me today. He says, I think I'm more mature now, Chris, and that. And I said, well, you probably are, Liam. You've had, you know, you've been all over the world. You've learned from your losses. And, you know, he'll actually tell you himself.
A loss is only a loss in boxing if you don't learn something from it.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, but the thing is, if you look at Liam's losses, like when he boxed, he lost to Eric Ochang. He had a conditioner, and he lost too much weight, and there were no in him, and that's why he lost to Ochang. Then he lost to Jez Wilson, same issues again. But his losses have been weight issues, and even though he were like against Zach Dunn, obviously he were former IBO world champion, and he still had issues with his weight. And then I think penny dropped then, and he thought, wait a minute, I ain't coming out here not preparing. And then I talked him into going down to middleweight, and we got this Lee Rickard, his friend got him, and obviously they monitor him, they measure him, they do everything, and you know, I think that's why Sheffield United have done well this season. Brilliant. Right. Well, the fact is, you can't beat it. We can only, you know, it's all right saying, right, have porridge in the morning, then have a bit of chicken and rice for dinner, then have chicken and veg for tea, a bit of fruit, and make sure you drink at least 3. That's no good.
No, nutrition has changed so much now in boxing, and there's so many advances now on the types of food available and what they do to your body in different stages during a training camp, when you're trying to build, and then when you're trying to cut. I mean, it's incredible now, the advances in that.
Just before we close, I want to talk a little bit about Canelo and what it means for boxing. A guy that's been caught with PEDs, a clenbuterol in the system. Now he was banned for a year. It's now 6 months. And in September, I understand that Golovkin and Canelo are going to fight for a second time. What does that say about boxing? Either one of you guys can talk about it.
I'll let him, because I've just been speaking for 10 minutes. So,
well, the levels of clen that he had in his system, it should have been a 2-year instant ban. The levels were obvious that he didn't expect to get tested until he came to America to finish off his camp, or in the middle of his camp. Never gets tested when he's in Mexico. Never been tested before when he's been in Mexico. So he was obviously cycling it through his system, just a sort of like a pre-camp cut of weight, but not lose any muscle, where obviously that's all his power and his energy will come from. I think it sends out a terrible message. You know, look at Peter McDonough. What did he get? A 6-month ban for having a spat at a weigh-in, which ultimately they all do to try and sell tickets. You know, it's raising the profile of a fight.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think I'm just staggered. I know all the money involved and everything else, but what does that say now to the fighters? What's it going to take? And I hope it never happens. But what is going to happen is someone's going to fail a test after a fight where someone gets injured, and then they've got to be look at charging them with some kind of offence, because you know, and the boxing just doesn't need that nonsense. The type of nutrition's available. Look at Liam now, making middleweight. His nutrition's on point, and he's a better fighter for it. And that's all it's down to. It's down to, you know, listen, why would you want to cut corners? You know, this guy's he owns a cattle ranch. You know, his family sell meat, and they swallow that excuse. And do you know, he would have to eat something like a ton of that beef to get that kind of reading, because the amount of clenbuterol they give to cattle is minuscule, because the way their receptors react to clenbuterol, it's literally a minuscule amount. So the amount left in the meat wouldn't be enough to give you a 0.6 and then a 0.8 reading. I mean, there was a cyclist that had 0.050 in. So you're on about less than a tenth of what was in Canelo's body, and he got a 2-year ban.
Wow. How many times did Povetkin get banned?
Yeah, he twice, didn't he? But he was done. I mean, he was done for. He was actually done for a steroid, wasn't he?
And then Ortiz.
Yeah, his was a masking agent, blood pressure tablets, which mask other ped abuse. So if you're going to get done for something, you might as well get done for something that is on the ban list, but it's not regarded as performance enhancing. You know, it's like the cyclist. I watched a documentary. It's Icarus.
Yeah, I told you about Icarus, didn't I?
Yeah, I watched it. Absolutely mind-blowing. It just shows you what was going on. No wonder the Russia were mopping up in
what was or what still is going on.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, ultimately now, if you get the right the right scientist, you know, no doubt it's still rife in boxing, because all they do is they take masking agents or they cycle it when they know they're not being tested. But, you know, how would you risk? Why would you put your career on the line? You know, we people may not know, but there's drug testing in darts. Yeah, it's been UCAD. It's been around now for about, got to be getting on for 7-8 years. And they test regularly all the non-TV events, on TV events. Yeah, it was frightening. And you know, when I was not playing and I was socializing in a certain group of friends and listening to a certain type of music, I used to like a little bit of a doober, right? And I was like, there's no way I am going to get busted for this. I mean, a few players did, like, you know, but it's hardly performance enhancing. Apart from when you didn't win, you didn't care. But yeah, I would never have, you know. So I made sure I was always clean, and I think you should do that in every sport, especially boxing, because it's, you know, it's people's lives on the line.
Chris, I think Liam mentioned or he alluded to the fact that he believes he fought an opponent that was on the stuff. He felt was on the stuff.
He said to me, I bet, he said, that Zach Dunn, he said he's like a machine, he must be on something. And who knows? I mean, I don't think he got drug tested after that in Australia, but it's all right thinking that. I think he thinks that because Brophy, in his next fight, Brophy like just knocked him out. He didn't look as though he was strong. He didn't look as though he was
looked a different fighter.
You know, Liam just that's Liam just thinking, well, he must have been on something. But anybody, I don't know. I think that, you know, anybody who was taking anything in sport, such as, well, in any sport really, and doing it to make their game better, 6 months is nothing, is it? It's. I mean, he's not even out of boxing. It's not even he could make it a long training camp.
Yeah.
So he's not even out of game. 2 year minimum.
And no financial punishment either, because he's still going to get the Golovkin fight and the mega payday.
Of course he is. I mean, but like I said before, you just think of like Sir Ryan Rhodes, Matthew Hatton, who fought Golovkin.
Yeah.
Canelo.
Canelo, yeah.
On drugs then when I fought them. I would, if I'd have fought Golovkin and got, he stopped me in 11th round, then he gets done for that, you think, wait a minute, he'll have been on him an hour. Who's to know?
And you look at his body shape and the way his body has changed in the last, 4 or 5 years.
Because I did like Alvarez.
Oh, I loved him as a fighter.
Alvaroids, we call him Alvaroid.
Oh, yeah. Clenello.
Canelo Alvaroids.
I mean, it is a shame because he's an elite boxer.
He's high profile, so it taints the sport.
He's a Class A fighter, and I mean, it's same in athletics. Look at all these sprinters who's on it and who's been done in past. So I do think 6 months is such an embarrassment to Nevada State of Boxing. Bloody hell.
Well, it's corrupt, isn't it? It's corrupt down to the judges, down to the referees they use, and now down to the worst thing of all, drug testing. And drugs in boxing for me is just, it's the ultimate sin. It's, it's such a, it should be such a clean sport in every aspect.
Absolutely.
It should.
It's a warrior code.
The warrior code.
You know what Golovkin should say is, Alvarez, you've blown it, mate. It's probably that. I'll fight Billy Joe now.
Yeah, I agree. He should punish him in another way.
It morally sounds right. I don't think it'll happen though.
Oh God, no! It's too much money involved.
Or fight Liam Cameron.
Yeah.
Liam actually said he would spar Golovkin for free.
Honestly, he's that keen to progress. Because he would, he'd spar him for free. We were trying to get hold of him to go out there to
Big Bear
sparring, but that Abel Sanchez, we couldn't get hold of him.
I'm working on Abel for you. Every time I do an interview with Abel, I'm working on him. So I'll send him in the next time you guys fight.
Ingram, he said, there's a kid who was Commonwealth champion once coming out. I mean,
I offered him
for free, man.
I offered Liam Cameron as an opponent for Golovkin. I said, Liam Cameron, he's ranked 15 by the WBC.
What did he say?
Who's he?
That's all right. Let him keep saying that, because I think the thing is, I mean, it'd be a great experience to go and spar with somebody like Golovkin.
Oh, the ultimate experience.
See how everything works out there, and
how he trains, what he eats.
Well, I'm gonna have another word with Abel and see if I can twist his arm. I'm pushing. Every time I get a chance to talk about Liam Cameron, I do to him. So if Ben Hall can get up there, I'm sure Liam Cameron can get up there.
Well, we're not far off. I mean, 2 more good wins, and I think we're knocking on doors. And I think Dennis is on about going to IBF convention in May, and trying to get Liam ranked and pushing for eliminators and things like that, because he's not going to. And like what's his name? Langford won't box him. I mean, I can't understand. British Boxing Board, they actually asked Liam to box in a final eliminator for British against Mark Efren, who's never ever made middleweight, and Liam's Commonwealth champion. And Dennis has said to Robert Smith, why would the Commonwealth champion want to box in an eliminator for a British? When really it should be like,
yeah,
champion, he's a champion. I mean, there's 53 countries in Commonwealth. You know what I mean? So if you weigh it up like that, I think it's worth the pump for both, isn't it? If you don't have to. Final eliminator. Come on, Ingram.
I know.
That's
All right, before we bring this to a close, I just want to hear final thoughts, Chris. If there's anything else you want to say before we bring this to a close.
No, I'd like to thank Ingram for inviting me on and speaking to our darts pal. And I'm definitely 150%. I want to go to a
Premier League
darts and get close in and get in atmosphere and soak it up, because it's a great sport, and greats like Eric Bristow, John Lowe,
Dennis Priestley from your neck of the woods. Well, you Mexborough
Wilson.
Yeah, we'll have to sort. Well, when next show I'm at that I'd pop up to one of Dennis's shows, I'll come and say hello and introduce myself.
Are you coming through to our show?
Not this one this week, but I'll be definitely coming to his next one. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, and honestly, I'd really love to come to a darts match, and me and Liam come.
Yeah.
Atmosphere's like.
I'll get him on the beer when he's not in training.
Really? Now, honestly, don't get him on that. Heavyweight again.
Yeah, he'll be fighting at cruiser.
Oh, it looks like one anyway. But are you watching it on TV?
Yeah, I'll be watching it. Yeah, I'll be watching it on Friday, mate. Definitely, 100%.
Oh man, brilliant! Nice talking to you. Anyway.
And you, pal. Take care of yourself.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. Right, Ingram. Thanks, pal.
Take care, champ. Speak to you soon.
See you later, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So there we have Chris Smedley there, the trainer of Liam Cameron.
Nice guy.
Yes, absolutely. Chris, your thoughts?
Well, I'm fascinated by this Dillian White reaction to the Ortiz situation. It's almost like it's almost like he filled his pants a little bit, because that, you know, he's all he's gagging for is the rematch with AJ, because it's a big money fight, and he knows it's his opportunity to cash out.
Or to fight Wilder.
Or Wilder, yeah. I mean, I think Ortiz is you know, it was a good performance against Wilder, and a younger version of Ortiz would have got him out of there. But what does he have left? He's coming up for 39, I think. If that fight gets made, he'd be
49 more like.
Yeah, or 49. Yeah, exactly. We don't even know how old he is, and we don't know actually how good he is, to be honest, because you know we just don't know the caliber of opponents. You know,
is he good enough to beat Dillian White? That's the question.
I think White might have a shout. I think because of his age, his inactivity, his lack of high caliber opponents. You know, if you take the Wilder fight out of it, you know, Dave Allen stood up to him for a good part of their fight that they had. You know, and I think White has a shout. I think White could upset although it doesn't sound like he fancies the fight, because there's no reward for a big risk.
But why would you? I mean, you fought for a world title eliminator. Him versus Brown was a world title eliminator.
Exactly, and now they're making another eliminator. They can't yet. I'm hearing that Wilder could be fighting Brazil.
Yep. But like, remember, I told you as well. I also heard that Wilder and Joshua was rumored to get it on between November and December. Yeah,
which would work out right. If fight Brazil, I don't think would AJ have a fight in between that.
You meant to fight? What's his name?
Povetkin.
Would you want to see Joshua fight Povetkin?
No.
How do you think that fight would go?
I don't know. It was worrying against Pricey. He looked a shadow of his former self, and he's another one, inactive, 38, been banned for drugs, doesn't look the same fighter you know, post that era when he, or period that he failed drug tests.
But that left hook still look like he's got some power in it.
Yeah, oh, he can listen. It's the last thing a fighter loses is their bang. But he also at times looked, you know, he looked a little bit iffy against Pricey, didn't he?
He did look iffy, but the finish was
phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
That punch that caught. I mean, that punch was coming from round one.
Yeah. Oh, we could see it. I was listening to your commentary.
It's coming.
It's coming. But when Pricey caught him with that shot, I thought, oh my God. I was like,
Bruno fought Tyson.
Yeah, I was screaming around the living room, you know, and that's just the poor luck of Pricey. You know, if it had happened earlier in the round, he would have finished him.
Yeah,
he was gone.
Yeah,
he was absolutely gone. But just no luck for poor old Pricey again. And you can't help want him to do well because he's such a lovable giant. You know, he's
Price's right hand on Wilder's chin.
Oh, he knocks. I don't think there's not a current heavyweight out there, you know, like that they used to breed years ago that could hold a shot like that. Yeah. You know, no one holds Price's shot. The guy can absolutely bang. And
we'll say Povetkin held his shot.
Well, he never. The ropes held his shot, and the fact that there was no time left at the end of the round, and that was just a short hook as well.
Yeah, but he never followed up on that.
No,
he never followed up on that.
No, he just
should have come out the next round.
Yeah, swinging. Absolutely put it on him and just emptied the tank.
That's what I said. Come out. I said, come out and fight like he was Thomas Hearns. And just go
from every angle. And Povetkin wouldn't have been able to handle it because he was still unsteady on his feet. It was just that Price gave him time to fully recover, and then boom, that right hand around the guard was coming all night long. And then once he hit him,
it's Price's reaction.
Well, he was out on his feet when his hands dropped. I was surprised the ref didn't get. I mean, I don't know what the ref was watching, but yeah, that was dangerous, horrible moment because he's been knocked out bad so many times and hurts bad so many times that and I hear he's not going to hang him up. Fair play. Listen, that it's.
But the argument would be if you're David Price and you're David Price, people say, "All right, you got knocked out by Povetkin." But he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
You still come back, Pricey. I mean, you almost had him.
Yeah, that's the danger, isn't it? That's the problem.
That conversation is a dangerous conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's he's heavyweight who can punch. He's only ever one punch away from.
That's it. But he's also
well, yeah.
Away from
very much like Khan, you know what I mean? Like like Khan's, running his mouth about fighting Brooke, and I mean,
I don't understand. You're calling someone out, or you're saying, "Oh yeah, if we fight, who's gonna win?" Yeah. And he's talking to Khan and to Brooke, and then before you know it,
he's gone.
At the arena,
he's on his toes.
Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and then you're shifting, you're bolting.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he just literally didn't want to stay in there.
To me, that you're talking about signing for Eddie because you want to fight Brooke, and then you've got the man face to face in the ring with you, and then you bolt. That's a perfect opportunity to sell that fight.
The fight's made. It doesn't even need any promotion. It don't need money thrown at the promotion. That sells out. That does. That does 30,000-40,000 tickets.
Does it do Wembley?
Yeah, it does Wembley. Yeah.
Easy?
Not easy. It probably does one of them up in around Sheffield or.
Is it bigger than Frochgrove's 2?
No.
Is it bigger than Frochgrove's 1?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Is it bigger than Klitschko Joshua?
Oh, no, I think they have less casual fans. Although Khan does have a insane. I mean, I was having a discussion with someone from his similar ethnic background, and I said, "Listen, you can't quote all these religious values and everything else, and then get caught masturbating on Skype, and then calling Joshua out for apparently boning his missus, and then put your personal life on public display." I'm like. Listen, it's all, You know, I can't have it with him. And listen, he's a talented kid, no question, but he just he's deluded, and he fights like a deluded fighter. He fights like he's got a chin made of granite, and that is a sign of delusion. That is his weakness, and the one thing he should be wary of is not getting involved in trading. If he had the discipline and the stamina, to stay on the outside, I mean, he has a chance against any fighter in his division.
He wouldn't have got beat by Danny Garcia, that's for one.
Yeah, he got wiped out by Danny Garcia.
I actually ran to the bookies the minute he said in that press conference, "I'm going to knock you out." I said, "Right, that's it."
Yeah,
the bookies.
Yeah, if he'd have said, "I'm going to box you and give you," if I'm going to put a boxing clinic on you, right? I'd have backed Can all night long. But I was the same. As soon as he got emotionally involved and said, "I'll stand and trade," I'm going to knock you out. Like, listen, it ain't happening, mate. Not Danny Garcia.
And a left hook. And what do you make of Keith Thurman giving up his title now?
Yeah, I know. I literally just read about that before he come on the show. He's vacated his belt.
Now Porter and Garcia. Well, I guess the smart move is those two fight, beat the crap out of one another, and then Thurman can go over the leftovers afterwards, I guess.
Well, who's Thurman going to go after now then?
Probably.
Well, nobody. What was your take? I watched Frampton, and beautiful fight, lovely people.
I was puzzled. Round 11, Donaire came alive. He hurt Frampton.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, hold on a second. Why did you wait till round 11 to do this? Why did you do this from round 1?
Yeah, because I think not necessarily from round 1, but definitely say the middle rounds. Right, this game plan's not working. I'm going to try now and put it on him.
Yeah,
and he waited late. But a great performance from Frampton. A strange one from Donaire. I'll have to. At the moment, I'm giving credit to Frampton. You know, I think he and Donaire is well past his best. Let's have it right. But it was still a fabulous performance. But then I stayed up and watched Charlo.
Oh, that was brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, mismatch beyond belief. And then I had the unfortunate thing I had to stay up just to watch Broner get beat again, which was absolutely.
Did I have not said it over and over and over and over again about Broner? He's gonna fight the same way. He was a good fighter at lightweight.
Yeah, when he was either bringing guys up or
bullying guys.
Yeah,
that's what he is. All Broner is he
bully
forward, he walks you down, and he uses that physical strength. When he moves up in weight against the bigger guys, he tries to walk them down the same way. They're a lot bigger. They can take his shots. They can push him back. That's why Broner's style don't work as he's moved up in the weight.
No. And he has no place up in that way. He doesn't have the physical size up at that way. How did you score that fight? Did you have it a draw?
Draw where? No way. No way.
I had it 8-4. I give Broner 4 rounds.
Yep, that prolonged Broner's career. That's all.
Yeah, I felt sorry for the kid because he absolutely put it all on the line against Broner, and he got robbed with a draw. You know, I mean, you know he got well beat. The fact that all they can get out of it is a draw. You know what I mean?
Broner v. Khan.
What's that?
Broner v. Khan.
Oh, yeah. That.
What would you prefer? Broner v. Khan or Khan v. Brook?
Oh, Ingram, you're killing me, man. I want to see him on consecutive nights. I'd love to see I honestly can whoops Broner.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he whoops him. As long as he doesn't get involved.
The thing is, if you look at Broner in all his fights, he has this moment where he decides to turn it on.
Yeah.
And unload punches. He hurt Vargas.
Yeah.
That's a big dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, as long as Khan doesn't get involved and can
stop at some point.
Yeah.
What he's gonna stop.
Well, revert to type, wouldn't he, and try and have a trade up.
It's a matter of if Broner can hurt him and get him out of there. Yeah,
well, he will. Listen, Khan doesn't hold a shot. End of story. It is not, it's someone tried saying to me the other day on Twitter, if I hit a boxer on the chin, I'd knock him over. I'm like, oh my god. He fought that Willie Limond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He couldn't punch the skin off a custard.
Yep.
And
Michael Gomez fight.
Yeah, Gomez, yeah. And they had him in an absolute queer street. He does not hold a shot, and he's never adjusted his style, or he doesn't listen. I know Virgil spent so much time with him to change his ways, but we know he will always revert to type. I mean, fortunately, at the weekend, he fought a guy that was like Superman, or was
No, he was fishing.
Yeah, it was like he was. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
He was out there like he was going, yeah, I'm fishing.
He was punching the clouds, and then he was seeing stars. You know what I mean? He was looking at the clouds.
What for me? I'd have felt shame. Fernando Vargas, the legend Fernando Vargas, comes over to the UK for that.
Yeah, he must have been mortified. Absolutely mortified.
Where you put your face? That's your fight. Where'd you put your face in the arena? What'd you say?
Yeah, that's his man. That he's representing Vargas, you know, in a way. Put it this way, I don't think he'll be training him for another fight.
I don't know where I put my head. If that was my fight and that happened,
shame, absolute shame. Yeah, it was awful. And again, I don't know what the referee was doing. You know, it wasn't like he was hurt. Yeah. But you know, he's an awful fighter anyway. And everybody says, oh, he went 10 rounds with
Spence or 8 rounds.
Yeah, I'm not. You know, that was years ago.
Oh,
that was time. You know, and yeah, I don't know what he was even doing. I mean,
when I spoke to a certain fighter and I said, you never believe who Khan's fighting next. He went, Phil LaGreca. I said, Phil LaGreca. He went, he's shit.
Yeah.
What's he doing fighting him? I could fight him.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'd heard of him because he fought Paulie, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, I must have stumbled across that fight because I wouldn't normally go out of my way to watch Paulie. I love him as a pundit, but I didn't like him as a fighter. But yeah, I remember stumbling across that and watching that live, and then I thought that can't be the same guy. Can surely not fighting him, but there we go. But where does he go? Where does he go from here? He can't fight another one of those. And what does he learn in 30 seconds? What does he learn? Where does he know? What does he know about where his fitness is right now?
I'll tell you what he learns. I'll tell you the 3 things he learns. He learns that if he fights a guy like that, you'll blow him away in 40 seconds.
Yeah.
He knows that people will pay to watch him fight.
Yeah.
And they also knows that he can probably do it again and get away with it.
Yeah.
That's what he knows.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
I think he can get away with that maybe for 2 fights. And he could say, yeah, I'm still getting myself ready. But the 3rd fight's got to be Brook. Yeah.
It's got to be. It's got to be. And as long as they keep serving him up guys like that, he will keep. Yeah, because they can't risk it. It's too much.
Exactly.
They can't risk putting him with anybody half decent because there is a chance he'll go over. And they had that. That was the whole thing how they mapped out AJ's career. You know what I mean? They know more than anybody. They hear about the sparring stories off of McCracken and everything else.
Of course
they know. That's why he was fed. You know, that's right. Them saying he won his world title after 16 fights. He fought Charles Martin, who didn't actually even win the title.
There you go.
But a great marketing job all the same. You know, he's made millions. He gives millions away to his community. It's hard not to listen. I don't. People think I hate on AJ. I don't hate on him. I don't. I like the guy. I've met the guy. I just don't like the fact that he's being built up as this amazing fighter, as an amazing athlete.
I think what it might be, it might just be the fans, the casuals that can make it very annoying.
Yeah.
AJ himself isn't the problem. I think it's the people. It was like the time. Remember Manny Pacquiao? When we had the Pactards?
Yeah, Pactards. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They were in force, and then Pacquiao got beat.
More recently, we had the fucking McGregor mania. People telling me on social media he was going to beat Floyd Mayweather. What? And they believed it.
Have you ever thought to yourself that Floyd carried McGregor?
100%. 100%.
So that the MMA fight that happens ends real quick.
And they're having an MMA fight, which is basically a boxing fight with no shoes on.
Yeah, but hold on a second.
No boots on.
They said Floyd in a cage.
Yeah.
They didn't say Floyd in a cage for rules.
Yeah.
Floyd's a smart man. Floyd said, yeah, I'll fight you in a cage, but under my rules.
Yeah, I heard a story that all the money in Vegas went on the round that Floyd beat him in.
Really?
Yeah. And I heard that from a reliable source of someone in the gambling industry.
Wow, that would be no surprise, though, would it?
Yeah, well, he held him up. He blatantly held him up for round after round after round. He did nothing with him. You know what I mean? He just poked the jab out a few times. His timing looked, and then all of a sudden, just flicked a switch and just started to break him down.
Something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Hughie Fury. I'll leave the floor for you to talk about Hughie Fury.
Yeah, I'm genuinely interested. I didn't have him win the fight against Parker. I thought he was too negative. I thought he was easily backed up and it wasn't aggressive enough. But listen, he was coming off a long-term illness that continued to affect him until I know they'd sort of almost resolved it. But he's a baby. He's got to build his man strength. He's a big guy, not carrying enough size and enough weight right now. In terms of muscle, you know, that growth, that man strength.
Yeah,
he's not thick enough.
Yeah.
But over time, he's starting. You know, it's all about rebuilding. And Peter's, listen, whatever Peter's lack maybe of experience at the highest level, he's proved that he can build a game plan like he did with Tyson to beat a certain fighter. He's got genuine boxing knowledge and a genuine understanding. And Hughie Fury, technically, he had that real tough fight.
Fred Cassie?
It was in Birmingham. It was against, I'm pretty sure.
He got his face, he's cut.
Yeah. And he showed at times a lot of boxing skill.
Yeah.
You know, he's very much like Tyson. He's not going to ever be the heaviest handed of fighters because they don't have that build. And they don't throw the punches in a way where he will be a concussive puncher. But he's very skillful. He's got good feet. He moves well, and he's a baby. There was that talk of him going to be the youngest heavyweight champion.
Yeah, they're pushing for that.
And there was enough guys around at the time that he could have, you know, without the illness, it potentially could have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you the documentary? Yeah,
documentary, fascinating as well. Just to get a different, you know, he's been interviewed a lot, and so has Peter, and it's fairly generic.
Yeah,
you know, so it was good to get a little bit more of an insight into their plans and where they feel they are right now, how he feels personally, physically, mentally. They're all important things, and he is 100% committed. He has no outside influences. He's not running around the town, you know, looking for birds. And you know, Peter has kept him.
He's on it.
Unlike obviously, because he's Tyson's Peter's nephew, so he couldn't have that same relationship that he has with Hughie. Yeah. And Hughie's a very, very disciplined man. You know, he's kept in check. And Peter wants to do what he did with Tyson. He wants to do it all over again, and it's more important because it's his son. It's
amazing. I spent 3 days with Peter. Despite
then you finished filming and then sat down and had a 2-hour chat with him, didn't you?
Exactly. It was the first episode. I thought and I did the interview, and people said he was really in a bad mood. But I think what really happened, I think there was a conversation he had earlier. He was on the telephone with somebody. I don't know who it was.
Yeah,
in a bit of a bad mood. Maybe that was what it was. Maybe that's what he showed in his face in the beginning. But bottom line is, myself and Peter spoke for 2 hours afterwards.
Yeah, Peter doesn't give a lot away. You know, you wouldn't want to play him at poker, I tell you.
No, you wouldn't. Absolutely not. So, and then the next day I went back and did the second day of recording.
Yeah.
So fans don't understand that. And the thing is, when you're in the presence of someone like Peter Fury, he'll be just like, you'll just have a conversation with him, and then he'll come out with bang.
Yeah.
talk about either the history of boxing or how positioning a feet should be, or how throwing a punch. He even revealed to me why the hand is dropped so low down. But I said, I've always questioned that about, and why the hand's down. Obviously, I can't reveal that.
Yeah.
But he's talking about why the arm is down so low. I'll actually point out, well, look, the arm's low. It's easy to come across the right hand over the top, blah, 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 blah. He said, yeah, okay, look at this. And he showed me something. Aha. I get it. And it's stuff like that that boxing fans really don't get to see. I was able to see the sparring sessions, the very intense sparring sessions that Hughie Fury was having, the stuff he was working with in the gym.
The real stuff that we don't get to see.
Don't get to see. The hard work that boy's putting in. So for people to sit down and say, Hughie Fury is crap and Hughie Fury's this, Hughie Fury's that, they didn't give the criticism to Joshua after the Parker fight.
No.
But they were real quick to jump on Hughie, who hadn't fought for how many years?
But again, that's an agenda thing, mate, because of their background. I get it because I come from a similar background. You know, I get dogs abuse for nothing just because of you know the score. You've dealt with it all your life. And and they, you know, you just think, wow, just admire it. Listen, he's
But hold on, Chris. Answer me a question. I really want to know this question. Now, you're in the business. You're working with corporate people. And people can say, oh, well, your background. But your background isn't stopping you doing what you're doing today, is it?
No, absolutely. Well, no, absolutely not. Some of the choices I've made and some of the situations I've got myself in have probably it slowed the process down. But things have improved, but 100%. When you deal with people, I find they care more about your ability to do your job properly rather than what you've done in your past or your ethnic background or whatever, creed, color, religious beliefs, anything. It's more about now, especially when you're dealing with bigger broadcasters. They care about whether you're good at your job or not. They don't care about, you know, I think it's people are almost regressing in their attitude towards that kind of thing. You know, I think the world's in a dangerous place, and sportsmen are up there to be abused rather than to be admired. Or, you know, we give boxers stick, but it's not a personal thing. You know, I don't dislike Khan. I've met the kid. There's nothing to dislike about him apart from when he sends me a few dodgy Skype messages, but that's for another show. Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't dislike the kid. You know, listen, if they were fighting over fires, and you know, I'm patriotic, I support the British guy and whatever else. But ultimately, I'm not going to blow smoke up his ass if I'm not going to say he's going to win a fight because he's British and I like him. You know, some of my best mates away from darts have to play against someone. I'm not going to, just because he's my best mate, I can't stand there and go, yeah, I think he's going to win and everything else, because that might be because of what I want. I got to tell the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say would be top 3 tips for you to where you are? What's made you this, regardless of forget the darts on one side.
Yeah.
But I guess you can't separate darts because that's a part of your life. But what would you say have been the key? Because you could still be a darts player, but still not get the opportunities you've got.
No.
Players have been probably more successful than you, with real due respect.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
You've got.
Yeah. So, I think we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and the same 2 eyes and 1 mouth for a reason. You know, the 2 biggest things in the world is to keep these open and those open, and sometimes this shut. You know, because I was held back because I would open my mouth before I put my brain in gear.
Yeah,
and that, you know, again, that caused problems, you know, while I was a player or when I was away from darts. But I think it's about I sort of had a plan that I'm going to carve out my career in the media. So in the 90s, when I got a chance to do a bit of work for Sky and work with Sid Waddell and people like Dave Lanning and the journalists that were around at the time, I used to just sort of shadow them and try and take it all in and try and make something of it in my own mind of, would I do this the same? Would I have said that? Would I do this? Would I do that? And keep a journal. Keep a journal to because you'll be amazed how your perception changes over time. And it helped me to sort of look back, reflect, and go, oh wow, I used to think like that, you know. And it shows your progress as a human. But for me, the best advice is talk to people that that you admire. Like I loved Sid and Dave Lanning and John Gwynn. And the old school commentators, I absolutely, you know, love listening to them. So I would sit in the back of the commentary box and just, you know, just take it all in, and I paved my own path. I thought, right, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to try and do it. And you know, I would sit down. Sid was a personal friend of mine, so I would, if we had time away from darts, so sometimes in a long tournament, you'd have a rest day, so there'd be no darts on TV. You know, we go and have lunch and talk, have a game of pool, and he was great. He gave me so much advice, and you know, he did the same to a lot of other guys like, you know, Wayne Mardle and people like that, players that made that transition. You know, he gave us invaluable advice, and I continue to learn to this day. You know, I'm nowhere near. You know, I'm not I don't come from a broadcasting background. I did very little schooling. I'm more or less sort of. I read a lot. I watch a lot of documentaries. I'm self-educated because I just didn't get school at the time, and we discussed that in the other show, and that because what was going on mentally.
Yeah, it's fascinating to hear someone like yourself speak about such things so openly, because that's how we all learn. That's, you know, like ironically today we were talking about Prince Naseem Hamed, and I looked at my LinkedIn page today, and he accepted my friendship on LinkedIn, which was amazing. And you guys were talking about Prince Naseem Hamed. Now, I bring Naseem Hamed up for a particular point. Prince Naseem Hamed's style of commentating. We laugh at it, but why do we laugh at it? Do we laugh at it because
it's very much like him? It's unorthodox, and it's.
Is it the truth? Are we laughing at the truth?
I think we're.
Are we laughing at him? Is this the way forward for commentary? Has commentary got to the point where it's got so biased that people like Naseem are refreshing?
Well, I was received very much for that same reason. They wanted a different style, and again, and it's simple. It's not an abuse thing. It's not an attack thing. It's listen, and and I know it was harsh, but ultimately, if you look at Chris Eubank, right? Yeah. Please tell me how he's going to win a world title. And ultimately, you are judged. I'm judged on my career, the fact that I didn't win one. Boxers are judged on it, especially someone like him that's been so vocal and so arrogant. He will now be judged on whether he wins a genuine, legitimate world title or not. And what basically Naz was saying was right. He's 28. Is he 28?
Yeah.
Junior. You're not, and he's still not got a trainer. And he still won't listen, you know. And he's right. He's not going to improve at this. He's at 28. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And in boxing terms, 28 is when you're meant to be the finished article, not sort of getting him back in the gym and teaching him the fundamentals, teaching him how to jab, teaching him how to move. He's great against a static opposition. He'd be great against James DeGale. He'd probably beat James DeGale at this stage of DeGale's career. You know, this is a guy that, you know, didn't look great either time against Truax. It's too oftenly likes to back up to the rope and try and work off the rope or take a breather. Eubank will, you know, Groves was different. He backed up but then moved. You know, he moved down the ropes and then slip shots or spun him. Yeah. You know, DeGale doesn't do that. He stands up, tries to use the spring off the rope to, you know, for erratic sort of explosive movements and moments in the fight. You know, Eubank would have a field day with him, and when his back starts to tire him and get him backed up.
Absolutely. Do you have any final words for tonight, Chris, before we finish?
No, just and a great long show again, mate. We do overtime.
We did.
Yeah, just some great points. Lovely speaking to Chris. I love hearing from trainers that I've never spoke to before, and they're, you know, although we're boxing fans and we've both done a bit of boxing, ultimately when you hear from guys that are right in the depths of it, you know, for me and you, it's just valuable knowledge.
Absolutely. And for boxing fans, we got a special guest on tonight, which was good, relevant, somebody who's going to be some this weekend.
Yeah, Friday on Free Sports. 9 o'clock.
Final point. Isaac Dogba fighting Jesse Magdaleno for the WBO World Championship from the UK.
Really?
Fights for world. He's the interim world champion at the moment.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So Saturday night he fights, and Bright Jennings fights on Saturday night as well.
Is that on Box Nation?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be tuned into that.
So
I love my Box Nation cards. It's
absolutely.
I'm still. I don't know whether I told you this story, but sometimes we do our darts presentation from Input Media, which is where Bunce's Boxing Hour is filmed. So I didn't know this, and I was in there, and I could see the Box Nation punch bags they hang up, and their coffee table. And of course, I know Barry and Buncey quite well.
Yep.
So I got myself a big marker pen, and I signed them a big autograph, best wishes to Buncey and Barry, and underneath the coffee table. Every time I watch it now, I think my signature's underneath that coffee table. But I will get on that show. That's my
goal.
That's my goal for 2018 is to, even if it's just a 5-minute slot, I'm getting on that show. Even if I got to hide in the toilet and just burst on the show when they go live.
I'm sure you will get a chance. I'm sure it'll happen. Chris Mason, as always, thank you so much.
And you, Ingo. Thanks a lot, mate.
And for everybody that's watching, thank you so much for watching. We've appreciated you for staying this long with us. We'll see you soon. This is the end of Mason and Jones for this evening. Take care.